A breakaway faction of the Pakistani Taliban is claiming responsibility for a suicide bomb attack in Islamabad. The Jamaat-ul-Ahrar group says that it was behind the blast that killed at least 12 people. Authorities say explosives were detonated near a police car that was outside a court building. The area was crowded at the time, and at least 20 people have also been injured. Kamal Hyder has more on this from Islamabad.
It was several years ago that Islamabad saw a spate of bombings and assassinations here in the capital, but the capital has been relatively quiet. Today's attack, of course, was right outside the district court. This is a very busy area. It's situated on a main avenue, so there's a lot of traffic, and that means a lot of passers-by would also have been hit by this powerful explosive. Now, according to the Interior Minister, the suicide bomber was loitering around outside the gate where there is normally a large number of litigants and their relatives, and he was looking for an opportunity to go inside and then detonate his device. But according to the Interior Minister, when he saw the police approaching him, he decided to detonate that device with devastating effect, because some of the cars that were caught in the blast caught fire, and a lot of people who were waiting around became the victims. Over 20 people are now wounded, 12 confirmed dead, and reports indicate that some of those injuries are life-threatening, and therefore the death toll may rise.
Imtiaz Gul is a political and security analyst and the executive director of the Center for Research and Security Studies. Imtiaz, you're joining us from Islamabad. So the attack was claimed by this breakaway faction of the Pakistani Taliban rather than by the whole TTP itself. How do you interpret that?
I think this is an old tactic deployed by various militant or terrorist groups. They have been operating as franchises. So once one group comes under heavy scrutiny and suffers losses, then it assumes a different name with the same people, with the same principles, just to obfuscate the reality, confuse the investigators. While the reality is that we are dealing with proxy terrorism with multiple franchises operating under different names in different parts of Pakistan.
What do you infer from the choice of target in the capital city, the seat of power in Pakistan?
Well, I think any attack, particularly in the capital, in the seat of power, signals a very, very negative signal abroad. So it projects Pakistan or that particular country in a negative light, making it look like unsafe. And this seems to be the strategy of proxy terrorists who try. And the TTP indirectly had already threatened, as well as a few Afghan former intelligence officials had also indicated that the next target could be Islamabad, cities like Lahore. And also there was a news item, the Afghan media had reported yesterday, a local news agency, which had suggested that Islamabad could be the next target. So somehow perhaps it is a strange coincidence, but this is how the sequence of event has evolved. And now we see this big attack, which has claimed more than a dozen lives.
What kind of response do you expect from the Pakistani military after this?
Well, the Pakistan military, as usual, has vowed to continue fighting terrorists and that no one would be spared. In the last 2 to 3 months, the Pakistan military really intensified its operations, which it calls the intelligence-based operations, to hunt down, to reach out to the people who are hiding in different places. So if we look at the statistics, then those killed in intelligence-based operations have gone up in numbers. And the attacks in the last 2 to 3 weeks had gone down, perhaps because the talks between Afghanistan and Pakistan were going on. So this could perhaps be one reason that there was not as this number of attacks as we witnessed until the end of September. But now with the talks having collapsed and with the threats coming from the different sources of TTP, perhaps this has started unfolding the execution of the threats themselves.
So that's what I wanted to bring up with you. The recent context of this, for our viewers who are less familiar with this particular story, is that there was a sharp escalation of fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan subsequent to attacks on Pakistani soil. Now, Pakistan has accused the Pakistani Taliban of being harbored by its neighbor Afghanistan. In other words, Pakistan, to make it simpler, is saying that Afghanistan is directly or indirectly the cause of these attacks that happened on its soil. Now, they had several rounds of talks. They had a fragile ceasefire, but that fell through and the talks ultimately collapsed. What do you think are plausible scenarios for what comes next?
I think the plausible scenario is one of intensification in the tensions. Pakistan is being seen as suggesting a regime change, which may be misplaced. But as a whole, if we were to look at what the defense minister is messaging, his tweet today by Khaja Asif also says that there are people responsible for the attack in Islamabad sit in Afghanistan. They use those sanctuaries in different parts of Afghanistan, and that Pakistan is ready to take on these people wherever they are. So this is quite a belligerent, quite an aggressive statement that has come from the defense minister, which suggests that Pakistan will up the ante, will intensify its hunt of the TTP hideouts inside Afghanistan. And I think this, meanwhile, it's no secret that Pakistan is very much pursuing what the United States had done through its night raids, that they were simply going after the high-profile attacks, the way Imam al-Zawahiri of Al-Qaeda was eliminated in a drone attack. So this is what Pakistan has started doing, and we are expecting actually similar reprisals by the Afghan Taliban as well as by the TTP, and particularly the TTP because it is seen as an instrument of terror deployed by India. This is what Pakistani officials say. And if that is the case, then obviously we are in for another round of hostilities between the two countries.
Security and political analyst Imtiaz Gul, thank you very much for joining us on the Al Jazeera NewsHour.
Welcome.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.